This tutorial is an extension of the data validation course. If you want to know more about the data validation course, you can have a look in a link that's going to appear just above. But if you've already gone through it and got to this stage, let's get cracking. This tutorial was born from a viewer comment on a previous data validation tutorial on dynamic dropdowns that changed based on another dropdown selection. And their question basically was, how do I create a list where I've got, for example, 4 options, A, B, C, and D, and if I select the first option in A, for example, B, I don't want B to appear in any of these other options. So if we have a look here, we can see B is now missing. If I click on this one, A and B should be missing from here. And then if I click on this one, D should be missing from here. Now, in this particular example, we've still got a full list here. If I click on B, B will still be available in this one. This is a sequential list, so it's starting from left and moving across to right. In the next tutorial in this series, I'll go through another example of how to remove them from all of the rows. Okay, so let's get cracking on how to do this. First, open up a new sheet, and up the top here, we're going to create a set of rows. We'll say set 1, set 2, set 3, and set 4. Good. Under each one of these sets is going to be our drop-down list. So let's just make things a little bit easier. Let's make that B, Control B for bold. Move these in a little bit. Oh no, they're okay the way they are. And we'll just set some colors here just to make it easier to reference in a moment, because I'm going to jump onto another page. And I'm going to make B a lovely little green. And we're going to make C a blue. Light sky blue. Keep everything soft. And let's make D a nice soft orange. Great. We'll change the header to this. So I'm just going to double click and call this options. Nice. So let's create a new sheet, and this is going to be our working sheet. So we'll just call this our drop-down helper. Okay, cool. And most of our work is going to be in this drop-down helper sheet. So let's move over to here. So the first thing we want is all our list of all our options. So I'm going to say all options here, and go Control B to bold. And our options are just A. Oh, not all options as an option. Just one A, B, C, and D. Great. We could have E, F, G. No worries. But we're just going to stick with 4 because it's easier. Cool. Let's bring this in. I've selected this column. I'm going to make this black so we can distinguish that we've got another section. And basically our first option here is going to be our set 1. So let's just make this our set 1 option already. Let's go back over to options, and I'm going to click A2 and Control Shift down arrow, and that's a bit messy. Let's say we've only got Control Shift down, right click it, and just delete these rows just for tidiness. And let's just Control Shift down arrow to here, and we will go to, you can either right click or we'll go to data validation. And we've got a list from a range. That's what we want. And we're going to need to enter our range here. So sure, let's go to this. Click on our little enter range doobly-doo. And click on A2 all the way to A5. If we've got more, we would click on more. Click on OK. And yeah, sure, we'll reject input. And we'll hit save. Cool bananas. Let's test this out. B, C. Yep, that's exactly what we want to delete. Awesome. Let's work on number 2. So go over here. So back to our drop-down helper. So next we need to work on our next sets. So our sets are going to run across set 2, set 3, and set 4. And each one of those are going to need 4 columns each. So I'm going to type in here option 2. And then we're going to go 1, hold shift down, 2, 3, 4, over to F. And let's just keep our colors the same. So option 2 was green, I think. Yep, green. So we know the colors are the same. We'll just merge this nice and tidy. We'll make it bold. Great. And then we'll do the same for our other options. Let's get it all done, eh? And we'll go option 3, and that was blue, and then orange, huh? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'll make that very attractive blue. and then we'll go option 4. And that was orange. I'm getting the hang of this. I didn't have to check this time. Option 4. Cool. And we'll just grab this row, make it all Control B for bold. And just so we can see it all, and honestly, we don't need it that wide. Let's make them skinny to here so it's all neat and tidy. Cool. So now we've set everything up. Let's start working on our very interesting formula. If our selection in option A2, so this one A2 has been selected, we want to remove that from all these options here. So to do that, I'm going to go equals. We'll use the filter function here. Oh, filter. Oof, the filter function here. And our first range is going to be our A2 to A5, which is this all selections here. So it's saying we want to display this, and we'll hit comma. And next is our condition. So our condition is that we don't want to display any of these if, so not, so we're using the not symbols here, equals the option in set 1. And I'll close that for now. So because there was nothing here, we've got A, B, C, D. What happens if we've chosen C? We'll go back. Now we've got A, B, and D. Great. So this kind of works, but it's all going down. We don't want that. So what we want is this to run horizontally because each one of these rows needs to match up with each one of these rows. All right, cool. So how do we do that? Well, if you followed the previous tutorial, you'll know that we're going to use transpose a lot here. And transpose moves things horizontally or vertically or the opposite of what you are selecting. Cool, so now we've got A, B, and D there. So we've got option 2 done. Let's go over and get our data validation sorted out for here. I'm going to hit Control Shift and down arrow to select all. We're going to right click this time, go down to the bottom, more cells. Oh, that was quick. Data validation. And this time our range is going to be, see if you can guess, our range is going to be this range here, which is hidden, unfortunately. I think it's to F. Let's just have a look and give it a move. Yes, it's going to be this range here. Before we continue though, there are some magical little things we have to do to this range. And what we need to do is to lock in the columns or lock them in or make them absolute with our little dollar sign, but keep the rows so they can move up and down. You need to put an equals in there and we'll hit OK and just make sure that's working. Yep, show drop down, show warnings, sure. And hit save. Oh, we're going to reject input, weren't we? And we'll hit save. Okay, so we've got these options here. So now, if I've got this A1 here, I should be able to select it. So now A is only ever going to reference this row here and not any other ones below it. But this, once we're on row 3, it's going to reference row 3. And while we're locking things in place, we need to lock these in because if I drag them down, they're going to start changing by numbers. So I'm going to hit F4 in here and click F4 there. The A2 option is fine because we want that to move down. So that should be okay. I'll hit enter. And let's just make this a short one too. Let's go down to 51. Control Shift down arrow, right click and delete those bad boy rows. Do that. Let's just click and drag this down to the bottom. And you can see we have our options expanding out here. So let's go over to this next one, set 1. We'll go. We'll click on B this time, and we should see over here that B isn't available in this list. So B shouldn't be available here, and it's not. So we'll put C there. Cool. All right, so we've got to do something slightly different for options 3 and 4. Okay, so here we're still going to use filter, but we're going to use filter on this option here from C2 across to F2 for each of the rows. So we'll type in filter, filter, and we want this range here. And then we're going to hit comma. We want to show this range only if it hasn't been selected in this B2 here. We'll select it again. So we want that. This is our condition. Is not equal to B2. And close and hit enter. Now in this case, instead of this case where we're locking everything in, we actually want this to change as it goes down. So we can kind of keep this as is. So let's just drag this down a bit to there. And now we can see we've got B and D remaining after option 2 has been selected, and we've got A and D remaining here. Great. So we need to do the same thing again, comparing option 3 against this selection. So let's just go and get that done while we're here. We'll just go here. So let's repeat it. So filter. And we're going to select this range. And then we need our condition, which is going to be this range. So long as it doesn't equal, go over to options, doesn't equal set 3. So I'm going to click on this one. And then close the brackets, hit enter. And there's our options. Because we haven't selected anything yet, it's there. But let's go in and add our drop-down menus to this. I'll just click on this one, Control-Shift-Down arrow, go to Data Validation. And our range this time is going to be, let's move this over so you can see, it's going to be this one. And again, because we want to make sure that our rows are moving down as we go, let's put an equal sign in here and just put some dollar signs next to the columns, but not the row numbers. And we'll hit OK. And we'll eject input and hit save. Go back over here. We'll go from 50 all the way up, holding shift down. We'll do the same thing, data validation. Here, enter our range, drop back over here, and then we're going to select this one. And then we'll hit equals again. So we want our K to be locked in, we want our N to be locked in, but we don't want our 2's to be locked in. We want them to change. We'll hit OK. Hit reject input and save. And let's just move this formula all the way down. And now let's go over and make a selection for set 3. So we've got B left, and set 4 we've only got D remaining. So again, if we've got here, let's say we've only got A, and now we've got D remaining. Let's do a whole row, and then we'll wrap it up. So let's choose D this time. I've got A as an option here, B, and C. All right, so when you're done, all you have to do, if you wanted to, is to hide the sheet, and that's it all done. So you've got a drop-down list family here that has diminishing options as you select from left to right. In the next tutorial, we'll go through another approach that allows you to select any one of these options. If one of these is chosen, then they could be diminished from the other options as well. If you enjoyed the tutorial, hit the like button. And if you want to see more, please subscribe and click on that notification bell. It really helps get this channel out to other people. Until next time.